My old boy's getting old now. The yellow around his snout's gone to gray. His elbows are worn out into patches. His eyes are runny and glassy. He's limping since he got hit by that car. It's been a faithful companion. Now he's fading. I'm keeping a spot for him in the garden so he can always be nearby. I hope he goes gently into the night so I don't have to shoot him. Let him always know you care. Give us a like, leave a comment, subscribe anywhere you get your podcast, and don't forget to turn on the notification button. It'd mean a lot to him and me.
Live from downtown Detroit, it's No BS News Hour with my main man, Charlie.
No bullshit! It's just a breaking news. No more bullshit. No more bullshit.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen, but you have no other choice. Everything else is bullshit. It's the only place you're going to get real news. We're not afraid. Doing the work for you so you can make your decisions. It is graduation time, Karen. Time to look out for the babies.
Yep, you're right.
Where the fuck are you, man? You're either in a peep booth or you're being booked at the Fulton County Jail. Where are you?
I'm in New Orleans, Charlie, and this is the best background that I could get with a table and a light in the hotel. So,
What are you in New Orleans? Gal-splaining to the city leaders how they got to turn it all around and the miracles you pulled off in Detroit?
We shall see, Charlie. We shall see. There's some Detroit people down here, though, from the city. That's
what are you doing there? I mean, actually, what are you doing there?
I had to come down for a little business and a little food, so, you know.
Very cryptic.
That's fucking weird.
That's really cryptic.
I think she's in jail.
In New Orleans. Who hasn't been in jail in New Orleans?
What was that show? That Cell Block GH? Tales from Cell Block. Yeah. Am I dating myself?
Why would you think
CB4?
What makes you think I'm in jail? Why would I be in jail, Charlie? What have I done to be in jail?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, Karen. It's the strange echo, the shower curtain.
It's not a shower curtain. This is a window. I'm in the Four Seasons, Charlie.
I'm
spread out.
But this is it. You don't want to see a bed. You don't want to see a TV. You don't want to see a bathroom.
Oh, show us the bed, baby. Oh, baby. Tell you what, we're going to go to commercial break here in a minute. We want you to get the nightie on, get into bed, order some room service, and show us the view of the Mississippi. No? Oh. All right. Well, then moving right along, please give us a like, save my dying dog. And no, we got to, here's the real deal. Really, you guys know what the point of this show is. We don't do any stories that we don't do ourselves or we have some contact with, some proximity, what we're all living. I am very happy to welcome back after the commercials, Alan. All right. Alan Foyer of the New York Times. You know the guy is an honest arbiter. He's no bullshit. He's no partisan. He's got a quick pen, a quicker mind, a set of balls. He's, in my mind, one of the greatest reporters of this generation. He is ensconced in the biggest story in this country, which is Trump, the indictment, and the classified documents. He is rolling point for the New York Times on this. So he'll be joining. Hey, Alan, how you doing, brother?
Good to see you, Charlie.
Yeah, Cleveland sucks, man.
So does Detroit.
And speaking of Cleveland, we can fight to the death, but thank God there's Pittsburgh. Know what I'm saying? Agreed. And we're going to have the mayor of Pittsburgh on to dissect this lame brain scheme. Hey, Mayor, the lame brain scheme, this tax proposal of yours, you want to dip into everybody's house in Michigan in order to fund your patrons. The guys that own these skyscrapers, write the big checks. The mayor of Pittsburgh, you're pushing a study saying Pittsburgh has gone to the model that you're proposing, but they dropped it 25 years ago, and you're going to get his estimation. All of that. But first, I want to say this. I want to say something before we have a word from our sponsors. I want you to know on Facebook here, they shut us down. They've shadow banned us. Now, you know, we used to get 30 to 40,000 people watching this show on Facebook when it went live. Now look at it. You didn't even get a notification. It's maybe 3,000. Hardly anybody gets that notification. You can't find us when you search. So think about this. How does Facebook only send this show to 3,000 people and yet 4,000 people watch it? It doesn't make sense. Something's fucked up on the platform. We've been shadow banned, and Mark Zuckerberg is a chicken shit, and I'm going to tell you how and when it happened. It was about a year and a half ago during the state election cycle when I was calling out the governor when I sued her for faking the COVID nursing home numbers. I wrote articles on the vaccine data. It wasn't my data. It was the University of Michigan hospital's data. Hardly a hotbed for conspiracy theories. What I wrote in 2021 was the vaccine was not working as advertised. 40% of people with COVID in the U of M hospital were vaxxed. The Democrats, not the liberals, not the progressives, the corporate Democrats complained, they whined, and we started getting flagged. Around this time, those COVID potential disinformation slides, remember those? Those started appearing over the top of our show. The viewership started dropping, and the algorithm stopped sending the show around, even though 110% of the people who received it watched it. That would mean that the algorithm would send the show out to more people, not less. And our work, as you know, no fear, no favor, no bullshit, has been original and it's been correct. We never aired a fake COVID story, never a fake Russian collusion story, no rigged election conspiracy stories, no blowjob mayor brought the city back stories like the media here is feeding you. We give you the truth. So how did we get banned? Explanation's easy. Let's say you're a political, you want the power, you want the contracts, you want the win, so you hire hipsters. You hire them to flag dissenters, people telling the truth, counter to what you're spinning, the propaganda. You create fake accounts, you hipsters, to cover your tracks. And you call the truth lies, and you hide from your crimes. So be it. I don't give a fuck. But let's take a look at Zuckerberg and his other platform, Instagram. Instagram is the second largest social media platform on planet Earth, with nearly 2 billion monthly users, after Facebook with nearly 3 billion monthly users. The Wall Street Journal reported last week that the biggest network of pedophile pornography traffickers has been using Instagram as its main smuggling route of filth and abuse. Children with animals, children with children, children with adults, self-mutilation. You get the whole sick thing. Instagram even recommends those sickos to each other via the hashtag. They put them together. Hundreds of thousands of Epsteins are out there trading in child rape in plain sight. And Zuckerberg and his team did nothing but make money until the story came out. All right, if you mess with children, Mark's on board. You tell the truth, Mark shadow bans you. So I could give two shits about Facebook. You know that. I won't be leaving Facebook. Too many of you use it as your only source of news. But you're not going to see me on it much. I'm not going to pay much attention to it anymore. It disgusts me. So you can subscribe to iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. They don't ban, and we're top 200 in America. They'll notify you. Try Twitter. We're trying it for the first time tonight. Trying to do it live. Go over there. They don't shadow ban. Whatever you think about Elon Musk or any of the clowns. I don't even like Twitter. Even YouTube, which would flag people and put them in ghettos, is easing up. Try that. Anything but Facebook. Because if you know me, you know I can't stand people who profit on lies, and I certainly won't make money for people that profit on child abuse. Now, a word from our sponsors.
Jesus.
This shit, I can't sleep, Mark.
Yeah?
I can't sleep. We have we want to welcome aboard nextevo.com.
Yeah, I might have that solution for you. I mean, you know I'm a narcoleptic, right?
Alan, he's a true-to-life narcoleptic. Mark is actually a narcoleptic.
I am. It's true. No bullshit. But because my medication will keep me up, so sometimes I do have trouble sleeping, and I have used the Next Evo Stress Sleep CBD Complex because it's loaded with CBDs. It's loaded with, I should probably put the camera on myself. It's loaded with CBDs. It's loaded with fast-acting melatonin to knock you out, long-term melatonin. Hey, I'm a fan of whatever works, so give it a shot. It's better than those oils. You know those oils with the stupid dropper? I'm sure everyone's seen them. These are pills. There's gummies. There's topical solutions, clinically proven to get into your bloodstream faster. So give it a shot. Big fan. If you have trouble sleeping, try the sleep stuff they got. If you're maybe a little stressed out, they have stress CBD. You look very quizzical about this.
Does it make you drowsy, Mark, like the next day?
No, not the next day, because it's mainly the melatonin in there that will knock you out, and the CBD does its work. So
see, melatonin gives me a headache, so I need something else because I can't. Yeah, it does. Melatonin gives me a headache. So
well,
that's great, Carrot. So I'm sure the sponsor's gonna love to hear that, but. We're being honest. So,
I'm being tried.
No. We're being honest, and then if they don't like it, we don't care because we're no bullshit. I know.
I would like to try it. That's all.
What is CBD?
I'd like to try it.
It's the non-active ingredient in marijuana.
So,
like the non-hallucinogenic ingredient in marijuana.
So does it get you high?
No, but it does. Some people say it has health benefits for them, and you know, it hasn't been studied enough. So if it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
This one does have studies, right? They have had scientific studies.
As a matter of fact, Charlie, a recent lab study found that most of the top CBD brands contain as little as 60% of what their labels claim. Not Next Evo. So you're getting what you paid for.
Okay, I'll tell you this. It's a derivative of marijuana.
Yeah.
But it's not the THC that gets you high.
Yes.
But you find some ameliorative effects. It helps you sleep.
Yeah.
My wife said it helped her sleep.
Yeah. Give it a shot. And right now, this is the call to action.
Okay.
This is not the self-endorsement part. Stay well this summer and smarter with CBDs from Next Evo Naturals. Go to nextevo.com/nobs, N-O-B-S. You get 20% off your first order, $40 or more. That's 20% off. nextevo.com/nobs.
Okay. Like, again, no bullshit. I haven't taken it.
I've done the sleep.
You
stuff.
have.
It
My
works.
wife has. Like, whenever I eat like a pot brownie.
Yeah.
When the THC goes through your liver, it activizes it, right? Activates it.
Yeah.
It does.
You don't really want to take weed to sleep.
No,
so I've heard.
No, but this is different. This isn't.
This is not the hallucinogenic THC.
Okay,
So
no.
give it a shot. Why not?
Now, do they have topicals, Mark?
They do. Yes. Yep.
Okay, because now those I will use like for my back, from my car accident. So
Yep.
I have tried. So that I will try. I can get 20% off too.
Great recovery, Karen. Yes, try it all.
Okay.
And we finally have a T-shirt for you, Karen.
Yes.
So we get you some topicals and put them on your back, and then put the T-shirt on, and you'll be all fixed.
Okay. Thank you.
Also, No Bullshit News Hour brought to you by XG Service Group, specialists, as you all know, in voice-over internet, phones, security cameras, hidden cameras, access control, Wi-Fi, construction cameras, railroad cameras, all structural
Security,
cables, security, drive-through systems.
All
right?
of it. Yeah,
all of
they
it.
do all of it. Yeah.
All of it. They rigged this joint. So call Matt Yaskovitz at 734-245-4100 for the big jobs and the little jobs. You got a raceway. You got a speedway. They do the speedways.
He does do the speedway in Milan, I believe.
Yeah, he does. I'm probably gonna go out there and drag race Charlie Langton from Fox.
Really?
Yeah.
Make sure Byron goes.
There you go. And you can all stream it live if you call XG Service Group. Let's see. Oh, yeah, an ADR, experienced overseeing more than $250 million in construction projects, both public and private, since the turn of the century. Reduce your costs and increase your bottom line. ADR, honest, ethical, smart, interface with the government. They're experts in procurement compliance. Call Barry Allen Tuck 248-318-9424 for a consultation. Now, finally, my man, Alan Foyer, New York Times, covering the biggest story in America, the Trump classified document indictments. How you doing, brother? It's good to talk to you again. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Charlie.
You got it, man. So, brother, everybody watches cable, so you're the guy next to the guy. What's new, dude? What can you tell us that's going on that you might not see on cable TV or read in the newspapers? What's your vibe?
All right. So just today, for example, literally like 2 hours ago, the judge who's overseeing this case, this historic, important case, issued an order to all the lawyers involved that they had to get security clearances, right? It makes sense. This is a case about classified documents. The fact is, Trump's lawyers don't yet have security clearances, and they are representing him in a case involving classified material. So it's a little point that shows you like where things are in this world that he lives in. So
does he even have lawyers? Because I religiously read you in the New York Times. I look for your name. Like I said, you're one of the clearest, most elegant writers. It makes sense. It doesn't blather. Monday night, he was still interviewing guys, right?
That's right. So
it's insane.
On the evening before the morning that he was going to end up appearing in Miami federal court to be arraigned, he was interviewing lawyers. Now, he's got two guys who are, one guy from New York and one guy from Florida. Because don't forget, if you're appearing in the Florida federal courts, you have to have a Florida lawyer, right? So he's got it kind of covered. It's just that nobody knows who's going to wind up being on the case moving forward, which is, look, it is what it is. He's still interviewing people.
What about the court's rulings to Trump's people? Is he allowed to talk? Is he allowed to tweet? Is he, a lot of his staff is involved in this. So inside that.
Yeah. So this is it's a very unique and weird situation. His co-defendant in the case is his body man. Right? You know what I mean? Like the guy who literally follows him around, hands him Diet Cokes, and fixes the collars of his sweaters. As part of the judge's order releasing him from his arraignment as a free man, he's not allowed to talk to the guy who literally follows him around day in, day out about this case. So, how do you not discuss the case with your co-defendant when that co-defendant is the guy who literally hands you Tic Tacs and opens the door of the golf cart for you? He's shadows him everywhere. And furthermore, the judge put in place a ruling where Trump is not allowed to talk to any of the potential witnesses in the case, right? That makes sense, right? You don't want to tamper with witnesses. You don't want to talk to them. But many of the potential people who will appear as witnesses at his trial work in Mar-a-Lago with him. So these are people who, his conversation has been restricted and what he can say to them has been narrowed down. And these are people he comes in contact with every day. So the atmosphere at Mar-a-Lago is just got to be very odd right now.
And Alan, given the fact that Trump is so egotistical, do you think that possibly he would not even try to talk to them based on the assumption that they think like him and that he's innocent and that they're going to side with him? I could just see him being that arrogant and that detached from even thinking he had to have a conversation with those people.
Look, we put it in the paper yesterday, I think, that his speaking style is ungovernable, right? This is not a guy who wants to be told what he can say and who he can say it to. And so it's just a remarkable situation where his conversation has been ordered by a federal judge to be restricted when he's dealing with the people who are literally closest to him. And I mean, I don't mean like emotionally, I mean physically closest to him.
Right.
So this begs the question, because he's the ultimate tweeter, right? And he doesn't listen. So let's say he starts talking to him obliquely through social media. We're in the middle of an election cycle. He's the front runner. Is it possible, and I'm sure that you're working on this, that if the court starts to see that there is some kind of untoward communication through the third party mechanism, that they could put a gag order on him in the middle of an election where he couldn't talk about this at all? Let's say he does a stadium speech and he's kind of talking to the people around him without directly talking to them.
I would say it's unlikely, but it's theoretically possible. So if he violates the terms of his release, the government has the opportunity to go to the judge and say, Judge, like, here were the rules that you set, and the defendant is not following them, and we want some recourse, you know? So in theory, it's possible that there could be any number of new restrictions placed on him. I mean, you would have to imagine that everyone is being very cautious, careful, and diligent here, given the nature of who the defendant in this case is.
Does this thing drag out to the election? Past the election?
So that's kind of one of the most important questions here.
That's what I paid for, bro.
There you go. The special counsel's office is going to try and drive the ball down the field very quickly, very hard. Trump's legal team is almost certainly going to raise a whole bunch of complicated legal issues, everything from talking about the nature of the classified documents to trying to compare this case to other classified documents cases. And even if they don't win on the merits of those arguments, if they can successfully push this case past the election, then all of the sudden, you're in a very uncertain territory. So, for example, let's say Trump wins the election.
His internet? Yeah. Okay. Let's see if we can.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back, brother. Go ahead.
All right. So I don't know where I lost you, but if the case, yeah, right. So let's say
goddamn
the case,
government.
The case goes past the election, right? And it's still not resolved. Trump could, in theory, order his attorney general to drop the case. Let's say he gets convicted before the election and then ends up winning. Trump, in theory, could pardon himself, although that's never really been tested, if a president can pardon himself.
So many things haven't been tested. A guy that's been impeached twice. He's been indicted in county court. He's been indicted in federal court. Every day with this guy is a brave new world.
Look, we've never been in the situation we're in now, period. Right. I mean, we've never had a president who's been indicted once, let alone twice. And of course, as you just said, we've never had a president who was impeached twice.
Wow. Is he bagging again there?
Yeah.
Okay. If you can hear, Alan, I'm curious about Walter Nauta, the co-defendant. Right? The guy that fluffs his collar, gives him the Tic Tacs, lays out his underwear. He's the guy accused of lying to federal authorities. He didn't move any boxes. They've got him on tape moving boxes. Does this case hinge on him flipping? What's your vibe about him flipping and where he's at in all this?
So the government has been trying to get Walt Nauta to turn on Trump and cooperate with their investigation basically since last September or October. And he didn't do it, right? He declined the offer and, essentially risked getting charged. And now he's been charged with Trump, not only for lying to the FBI, as you said, he's been charged in a conspiracy with Trump to obstruct the investigation into Trump's handling of documents. And the conspiracy charges that he faces, and there are 4 of them, each one carries a potential sentence, maximum term of 20 years in prison. So if he was under pressure before to flip and cooperate, that pressure is only heightened by the serious prison time he's facing. Now, is he going to flip? What, right? It's very early in the prosecution. Charges were just filed days ago. But look, he's got some options. He could gut it out and he could go to trial with Trump. He could make a motion to the judge to say, hey, judge, if I go to trial with Trump, I am going to be unfairly prejudiced against. So,
I can interpret that. Stop shaking your head. It's just technology, man. He said I'm fairly prejudiced if I'm with Trump. Yeah. So there's that. And okay, he's back.
Sorry about that, man.
No, it's good, dude. You're up there in the mountains, man. Go on.
So he could basically try to sever the case, right? Have his own case. Or, as you said, he could make the decision, it's worth his while, plead guilty with to presumably lesser charges, make a deal, and testify against Trump. Those are more or less the guy's options at this point.
Well, let me ask you the question, man. And just, I guess I'm asking you to speculate. And I'm not. I'm just winding you up. I'm teeing one up. It wouldn't have come to this. I mean, what are we talking about? Like the federal government for a year and a half has been trying to get these documents back. Turns out pretty serious, some nuclear stuff, some Iranian bombing plans, etc. Why didn't the dude just give them back? Correct me if I'm wrong. This is a question. If he had given them back, we wouldn't be here, would we?
I think that's right. And why he didn't give him back? Look, that's don't ask me that question. I'm not the one who can answer that. But
I'm gonna need 1,200 words by tomorrow's stat deadline.
Right.
I need a think piece for Sunday.
We've got a story that just came out this evening that kind of gets at that idea. And
wait a minute, pause, bro, pause. You see that? You see what a pro he is? I just ordered up a story and it's already going to press. My man. I hate deadline.
So the idea is that his aides for a while, even when he was still in office, referred to all of these boxes that he would have carted around with him wherever he went. If he was in D.C. or if he was in Mar-a-Lago down in Florida, or if he went to his New Jersey property, they called them his beautiful mind material, right? It's a reference to the movie, right? With help me out. Who's the actor? Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. Yeah.
Russell Crowe. And the idea is that these boxes were filled with odds and ends and things that he collected. Like Russell Crowe had all those papers on the wall that he connected with, string and push pins. And the idea that these boxes were psychologically important to him seems to be a reality. The guy liked to collect and hoard stuff from his time in office.
You're kidding.
Why did he do it? I mean,
are you
knows?
Wait, serious? Wait, this is interesting, dude. This I did not know. So he would travel.
So it's in the indictment. In the indictment, they quote a text that his personal assistant is writing to another employee down at Mar-a-Lago, and she essentially says, "Where are the beautiful mind papers? We have to be like." He wants to know where the beautiful mind papers are, and we were like, "What does that mean? What does that mean?" But we figured out that that's what it means.
These are trophies in a way. I mean, again, you can't know unless you ask them. But it appears there is trophies. This is me. Look what I got.
Look, the question of motive in all of this has always been both fundamental and sort of essentially unknown. So let's not forget, in one of the episodes described in the indictment, Trump is at his New Jersey golf club, Bedminster, and he's being interviewed by people who are helping his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, write a book, right? And Trump is really upset at one of his top generals, Mark Milley, because of a recent news article that came out. It's not worth getting into the details. The point is, Trump has got a stack of papers with him while he's meeting with these researchers for the book, who he's giving an interview to, and he goes, "Oh, this guy, my general, is telling all these stories about me that are true."
That actually sounds like Trump.
Document.
He'll come back. It's a cloud going.
All right, are we back? Sorry,
yeah,
man.
there you go. So, yeah.
All right, so he says, "I have this document right here that proves that my general is wrong about what, he says, I think. I would love to show it to you, but it's classified. And if I were president, I could declassify it, but now that I'm not president, I can't." And this whole interaction was recorded. It's on tape.
By Trump's own people, in a way. His chief of staff's ghostwriters. His own lawyer, right? Tell that story, Alan, about they have contemporaneous notes from his lawyer in the car, and they're quoting from that. That's part of this as well, if you don't mind to explain.
Yeah. So when the Justice Department finally got hold of this case, and they issued a subpoena to Trump, basically saying, "Hey, man, you have to give back all the classified documents you have," he hired a lawyer to help him comply with the subpoena. And that lawyer, one day, picked up his iPhone and started recording all of his recollections of his efforts to help Trump comply with the subpoena and eventually do a search of the storage room at Mar-a-Lago, as part of his legal duties. And so those notes were obtained through a very complicated process by the prosecutors in this case. And there's really unusual, wild stuff in there. So like at one point, the notes, that the lawyer is talking about how, he's like, what Trump is saying about complying with the subpoena. And the lawyer described.
Oh, it's getting good. I don't care. It's like, man, you're in the Allegheny Mountains, man. Don't worry about it. The lawyer is in the car talking into the phone.
All right.
Okay.
Right. So did you hear the plucking motion part? Did we
No. Just you keep, we lost you at. Okay, he's talking into the phone. Oh, go ahead.
All right. So he's into the phone describing how he was hired by Trump to help him basically follow the rules of the subpoena, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, he describes how Trump is like, he's making this plucking motion, and the lawyer's like, "What does that mean?" And he gets the sense that Trump is like saying to him, "Hey, whatever we find that is relevant to this subpoena, just take it back to your hotel room and pluck out the stuff that's bad." I mean, it's like unheard of that the government gets a hold of this sort of firsthand evidence.
Well, since we got you here, dude, and we got like second degree look into this thing. he's talking to the phone. I know you're privy to like how it sounded. Describe, if you could, if you wouldn't mind, how the lawyer's talking into this phone and what manner it is, and what is he exactly doing?
Sure. So we do know that the lawyer's in his car, he's driving, and he turns on his iPhone, and he's essentially narrating the story of showing up to be Trump's lawyer, and as if he were writing the opening chapter of a memoir. It's in complete sentences with descriptions of the architecture of Mar-a-Lago, and it's not like a normal lawyer who sits down and like jots notes on a legal pad. Oh, here's what I said.
We're waiting for this. The damn clouds up there. Wait a minute. He's narrating a memoir.
Yeah. So
okay.
like, yeah.
So wait, go ahead. Give me the dramatic interpretation, Alan, if you could, like a recreation from what you gleaned from your sources. How?
That's all. I have. So yeah. I haven't like. The notes have been described.
Well, go ahead and as they've been described, go ahead. Give me the opening.
No. So he's in the car. He's essentially describing like the first time that he meets Trump. He's describing the architecture at Mar-a-Lago, things that like a lawyer would not normally put into notes. It's like he's like recounting this story.
Like what? Like the way? Like what was Trump wearing, or they shook hands?
Yeah, like the blue suit, the red tie.
You're kidding. Wow. Okay, then I'm sorry, man. I'm stunned. I'm stunned. Okay. How does the government know that the former president has classified documents? I mean, you're talking about the National Archives. I'm just guessing. I don't know if you know, but is everything that goes to the president's desk of highly sensitive nature numbered, coded? You know, when they go, hey, wait a minute, we're missing documents. How do they know they're missing documents? Are they numbered? The goddamn Allegheny Mountains again.
Look, I don't know the exact process. Oh, man, you can't hear me?
I can hear you. No, I can't hear you. That's okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, yeah.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back, man.
Look, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, Liz, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down this number. 734.
Hold on.
Okay.
All right.
734.
Yep.
245.
245.
4100.
All right.
You asked for Matt Yaskovitz. That's XG Service Group. No, they'll dude, they're so cool. They'll come out there, man. Like,
I got you. Okay.
Bernie, no, I'm serious. Call them. You'll love it. I'm telling you, they'll get it all hooked up. You're in one of the biggest stories that hit this country like ever. Political stories ever. So, you don't know how the documents are numbered. We just know, right? That's something
I don't know the process of how the archives tracks this, but they were aware in pretty short order after Trump.
Okay, fuck this. The Allegheny. Call Bernie. Here's the deal. You there? Did we lose him for real this time? The whole thing? No, I don't believe it. No, there he is. That's Alan, dude. That's a tough son of a bitch. He doesn't quit. Alan, because the connection's bad, you got a weather front moving through. I got one. I'm sorry, Karen. You know, this old friend of mine. I'm really into what he's doing. I got one question, and I'll leave it at that. It's the whataboutism. I want to say this to everybody listening. It's quite obvious to me that the Joe Biden and the Mike Pence thing is different because when they were asked to produce them, they did. Trump did not. But I cannot shake Hillary Clinton. Trump did what he did. Go to trial. That's it. But I can't shake, Alan, that Hillary Clinton was asked to produce the server. It got produced. 30,000 emails were deleted. There was classified information, and they beat to death a bunch of Blackberries with ball-peen hammers. It seems to me that is in some way an obstruction of justice. Why? Why is she not being brought?
So look, that exact issue is going to get fought out during this trial or before the trial. It is almost certain that Trump's lawyers are going to file what's called a selective prosecution motion. And they're going to argue that Trump was charged with mishandling classified documents when another big elected official, Hillary Clinton, was not, for her classified documents investigation. So there's a couple of key important differences, right? You remember when the FBI investigated Hillary, the director of the FBI at the time, Jim Comey, stood up at the end of the whole thing and said Hillary Clinton was reckless in how she used classified documents, but the number of documents itself was very small. And there was no evidence of a willful intent to commit a crime. No evidence that she willfully held on to it or anything like that. And so what you have in the indictment of Trump is about
Well, I'm glad that paused, because I'm like, I don't buy that. When you purposefully delete government documents, when you destroy phone, Mark, what do you
Well, it seems like intent, yeah. When you purposely destroy something, yeah,
I
would say
think
that's
so.
very intentful.
But I don't want this to be about whataboutism, because, again, the man needs to go through the process, right? Your sin is your sin, or maybe it's not a sin. But just a complete walkaway. I don't see the same with Biden, and I don't see the same with Pence. They didn't destroy anything. They complied.
But isn't there a question of maintaining documents that are not their property? I mean, when you leave an office or job, or especially a public office, you aren't supposed to take anything. It doesn't belong to you. So is there a question of why those documents even landed in any of their possessions outside of them occupying the office?
Is Alan back, or
You're asking me that?
Yeah, why not?
I'm asking anybody. Yeah.
We were just stalling because of the weather.
Yeah. Look, this is, I mean,
Should have stolen more.
That's okay, man. All right. So he's not there. Here's what we're going to, okay, Alan, let's wind it up. So, right, because the weather's coming. All right. So in the end, this is going to be an issue that we as Americans will talk about, because it'll be an issue in the courts, and you're going to be the guy that delivers it to us.
It's going to be part of this case, almost certainly.
Okay. Listen, man, I could do this all night. I really appreciate, I know you're busy. I mean, this gotta be hard. Usually you cover courts and criminality. The El Chapo trial, the book you wrote is amazing. This has gotta be different. I mean, would you rather be doing politicians or drug lords? Oh,
I would do a drug lord any day of the week.
How come?
Totally understandable.
I'm just not used to I've never done politics, and I've always done, courts, crime, criminal investigations. But now when the defendant is a politician, there's no way to separate the politics out of it. So that's just it's a new world for me.
Gorgeously said. Are you active on Twitter, with all of this?
Yeah, pretty much.
You want to tell people your handle so they can follow? And I highly recommend not only following Alan, but getting a subscription to the New York Times.
Sure. My Twitter is just at my name, at Alan Foyer.
AlanFeuer.
Correct.
All right, man. Say hey to your lovely lady, and maybe I'll catch you in Miami, because now I know you're getting a couple trips to Miami on this.
That sounds fun.
All
Take
right,
care,
hey,
Charlie.
Thanks, brother, so much.
All
It's
right.
Alan for you, New York Times.
Alan's got 47,000 followers, so somebody's watching him.
Alan is the shit. That I don't hate media, man. We don't know anything without that. Alan's the press. He is. He's the press. Old school, a gumshoe. And you heard him. Is that fascinating? Trump traveled with, what is that, the beautiful mind box?
I just like someone that covers the courts in general, because you got to read a lot of boring material to find, facts.
And then make it come alive.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I was talking to him. And what I admire about the guy is, look, lots of people can give you the facts. Too many people kind of want to twist them to fit their political needs. But the other half, and I think we can all testify to this, is they're not teaching writing anymore. Yeah. Like Karen can actually write. And I don't mean that as a put down as it might have sounded, but like she didn't spend her life, honing a pen to communicate in a mass comm way in a newspaper. And she's a pretty brilliant columnist. Find her every Tuesday in the Detroit News. Well, it's true.
I appreciate that.
I read it and I go, where did you learn it? Because it takes a long time to be that good with a pen.
Well, I think it's a process, Charlie. I think I'm better than I used to be, but I'm still not as good as I would like to be. So, it's a process.
And that's the other part of it, which is the hunger to always improve.
Yeah, that should be with everything.
I absolutely hate what a good writer you are. I mean, people have seen how mad I get, how simple you'll come up with something.
Who's that, Karen or me?
You.
Well,
I know. Well, that's
they
that's why you write books.
They don't just hand out Pulitzer Prizes, bro.
Grace has seen me get really pissed. I'm like, God damn it.
Oh, wait, where the hell are we going with this?
You have other talents, Mark. You have other talents.
No, I don't. I have no life skills.
You do, man.
Just eating.
Oh, stop it.
Big businessman came in here and was singing your praises, man. Can't believe you're putting up with this. Mark, by the way, is also, I'm going to give him the title, executive producer of the Drew and Mike podcast, part of the Red Shovel Network, of which we're part of, and he also produces Soul of Detroit with ML Elric. So
this is not on the rundown.
Yeah, I'm throwing it in there
I
because
appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm really love working with you. It's another you two people. This is another chapter in my life. And you'll always be part of my life. Alan was a chapter of my life. He's always a part of my life. And I love knowing talented and honest people.
Well, I like doing it. I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
And that weather sucked. And that was still, was that fascinating?
Yeah.
That was fascinating. Yeah. That was the inside. Like, okay, so again, what do we know about Trump? When I'm listening to Drew, he's talking about, and I get jealous of that show. Because he's talking about what we all talk about, the energy of the man. Mm-hmm. He doesn't look all beat down and wrinkly, and his voice is old, and his tan is better.
He breaks all the rules, and it works for him.
Yeah, you know what I mean? His hair's the same orange as it's always been.
That's why people love him.
And that's stuff I want to talk about, but I just don't feel.
Well, I like that you go deeper into things.
We have to do that because we got that, right?
Well, no one else is doing it around here, especially locally.
All right, so listen, before we get to, I want to get to the big swindle, the big Detroit tax swindle that they're trying to perpetrate on all of us. And when we're talking about money, you always know we're talking Luke Nowacki, who wants to give you sound, rational financial advice. I won't go into all the machinations, all the news about inflation, about the Fed's holding steady, about the spot price of gold. That's a job for Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth. 248-663-4748. Rational financial advice for your home, for your child's college, for your municipality, for your pension fund. Everybody gets the good treatment from Luke. We all here do. Again, Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748. I haven't done this in a long time. Securities Investment and Advisory Office, World Line Associates, Inc., member of FINRA, PC. World Line Associates, Inc. is separately owned and other entities, annual marketing name, products, and service reference here, and independent alliances, Inc.
What a pro.
And what's the news? The feds did not raise rates.
Yeah.
What did the mortgage markets do?
Well, yeah, they've been going down because they knew they were going to raise them. Yeah.
There you go. And now's the time. If you've been smart, buying season's here. There's inventory. Rates are holding steady. Mm-hmm. If you find the house, remember something. 7% is the historical average of a mortgage. In the history of mortgages, 7% is the average. You find a house, you want it. If you think rates are going to go down, and they probably will, give it 6 months, year. You can refi. They do it all at Hall Financial, right? They got a lot of good deals. They got the 1% down program with up to $4,000 in forgivable down payment assistance for qualified buyers. You can always consolidate debt, right? Take out the home equity loan. It's at a much lower rate than your credit cards. Mm-hmm. And everybody knows, what is the credit card debt in this country now?
Like 25 to 30.
Isn't it?
Even higher.
It's over $1 trillion, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, total, yeah.
Okay. So why are you paying 20% on $1 trillion?
Call Hall.
What's the number, Mark?
866 Call Hall.
What's the website, Mark?
Callhallfirst.com.
You got
Keep
it.
quizzing me.
Who am I gonna push out the people next?
Legacy Insurance.
You know what? Got that Mustang fixed.
Did
you know
you?
what was
Yeah.
happening, Karen? The accelerator pump diaphragm
I hate
was
when that
leaking. It
happens.
was throwing gas all over the block. Fire hazard.
Ooh.
I got it fixed. You know why I got it fixed? Because I got a good rate on the insurance for that 65 Mustang. Otherwise, I would have just let sit. But the rate was too good. It's rolling again. I'm re-engaged. COVID killed my car. I love that car. Love it.
It's a nice car.
It is. It's a nice little pony.
And your bike's insured now, too.
And my bike's insured. I just let them. I'm getting old. I don't care anymore. But they gave me the right rate. And you all know, you listen to the show. I called them up in a half an hour, right?
That's right, yeah. And they give
What's
you a
my
rate.
year insurance on a bike? $200.
Wow.
I go do it. It's worth saving this bike. I'll only ride it a couple times, but damn it, I'm ready to go because my people at Legacy do the work for me. They don't gouge me. They make the money on the back end, not out of my pocket.
Mm-hmm. And now you can get Karen on the back of that bike. Now it's insured.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I want to go. I do. I want to ride on that bike. But a friend of my mom's when I was in high school tried to give me a classic Mustang, and I was like, I don't want that old car. And I look back and think like, gee, I should have. I'll never forget that.
I know
Yep,
what you were
sure
thinking.
did.
You're always smart though. You went like this. How old were you when that happened?
Probably about 16, 17.
And I know what you did. You went like this. You started looking around. You went, how much is the fucking insurance? Oh, fuck no.
No, I wasn't even thinking about that then. I was thinking, I want an old car. I wanted a new car.
My mom had somebody come, her second marriage, and we had a 72 Monte Carlo in the car. My mom, very nice lady, had some guy come in and fix it. Oh, he fixed it all right, and he stole it, and she never called the police on him. My mom's like that. What a Catholic. Take it. I know. Legacy Partners. In case your car gets stolen, 586-209-4106. Just call my man Eric. 586-209-4106, or just go to their website and click the link to get started. And that is, what is the website, bro?
I think there's a link on our site.
I don't do no stinking website. I call 586-209-4106. Eric, text me the website, bro. Yeah. All right. Listen, here's the deal. We started, isn't it interesting, Karen? We start going, wait a minute, what's going on with the development? And billions we're giving big business, and nothing's getting finished. We start doing that, and then press releases start going out. All of a sudden, the mayor wants to tax or uncork the taxes on everybody's home in Michigan in order to take care of the guys downtown when you really do the math. And then, wouldn't you know it, the Book Tower, which is part of a nearly $700 million aid package to Dan Gilbert, cuts the ribbon. It's open. It's open. And the media goes there and it's open. Well, homie, don't play that. We went there, and here's our report.
So the latest hustle coming out of Detroit City Hall? Uncork everybody's property taxes in the state of Michigan to ignite development in the city. Mayor Mike wants to increase taxes by $50 on vacant lots like this. And then he wants to cut taxes by millions on skyscrapers owned by billionaires like this. And that's supposed to create billions of dollars in development. But how, Mike? Look at the skyscrapers we've already paid hundreds of millions of dollars for in Detroit. What a joke. So desperate to cover the failure of the mega welfare to billionaires, the mayor, the governor, and the billionaire himself had a ribbon-cutting ceremony.
And after decades of use, it was left to decay. But today, it is opening with over 200 apartments, a hotel, an event space, multiple restaurants. This will be critical in the new chapter for the city of Detroit.
Downtown Babs ain't buying. Is it done?
No, it's not. They still have more work to do. What about that up there? What about that? Well, what about that? What about that? What about that? And what about that? And what about that? And what about that? And that, 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 and that.
So where'd they get this lame brain idea? A study of 17 podunk towns in Pennsylvania that was paid for by the billionaire. Here's Evansburg, Pennsylvania. Here's Titusville, Pennsylvania. Now they want to play with your property taxes, Michigan. Remember, those taxes pay for schools. And here's a school in Duggins, Detroit, with a crack house right across the street.
Take down the drug house, please.
They say a man's home is his castle, but the money mob and his henchmen want to penetrate the walls. I say, throw him in the moat.
And for those that are just listening and not watching, for every and that, it just is an incomplete building. It is a construction site. I mean, there are people working on the video. So if you're just listening, go watch it because it's pretty astonishing.
Where should they watch it?
Oh, wherever you post it. Twitter, YouTube, anywhere but Facebook. No, it'll be on Facebook.
It'll be on Facebook.
And we'll reluctantly put it up on Facebook.
But how's our Twitter feed going? Is it running?
It says it's running.
Well, all right. Well, because we're trying. But, go to iTunes. Like I said, we're rocking and rolling there, man. You can't stop us. You can't get better stuff than this. You get the inside of Trump. You get the inside of the book tower. And as I reported last week, I got one of Duggan's spin doctors calling me going, hey, don't be so hard on this tax plan. Have you read the report? Pittsburgh is really rocking. And I said, wait a minute. Pittsburgh hasn't done this split tax thing where they increase your property taxes on your property by 300% and lower the property taxes on your house by 30%. We end up losing. So I go, did you know Pittsburgh hasn't done this in a quarter century? And then the spin doctor hung up on me and gave me an idea. Why don't we find the mayor of Pittsburgh from 25 years ago when they stopped doing this? And by the magic of radio, earlier today, here is the mayor of Pittsburgh, Tom Murphy. Tom Murphy, senior fellow at the Urban Land Institute and the mayor of Pittsburgh from 1994 to 2006. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing well, Charlie. How are you?
I'm really well, sir. Now, just so everybody knows, you and I talked earlier in the week because a study was floated here in Michigan about this split tax policy. And a highlight of the study is Pittsburgh. And yet I noticed Pittsburgh hasn't been engaged in a split tax policy since you were mayor, what, in 2000?
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say we regret having to eliminate it, and I can go in. So let me explain to your listeners that Pittsburgh had for many years, and I can't remember the name, but there was a theory about governance which said you should tax land a lot more than the improvements. So Pittsburgh had a tax that taxed the land 6 times, raw land, 6 times more the millage rate than what the improvements were. And we liked it generally, but the county was required by a court order to reassess, and the system they used to do the reassessments, the computers could not take into account that split system. It completely screwed up people's taxes. So people were getting taxed at rates that were completely out of the ballpark. And so the only way to fix it for us was to eliminate that split tax, which we did. I would be a proponent of it. It would encourage you to think about using it. Let me just say, though, it works best where there's a healthy real estate market, so that there's a demand for the property. If Detroit and Pittsburgh are very similar, is that we had a lot of property that there was no demand for.
Oh, so you're saying, like back in the day in Pittsburgh, which was very much like Detroit at the turn of the century, at verge of bankruptcy, that because Pittsburgh had so much land that wasn't of use at that time, that without the higher tax rate, you would have collapsed.
So when our steel industry went down, about the same time your automobile industry went down, Pittsburgh lost half of its population. So we went from a city of 600,000 people in 1970 to a city of 300,000 people in 1990. And so we had thousands of parcels of vacant tax delinquent land. So the bifurcated tax was meaningless because nobody wanted to buy the land.
Like here. So you're saying look, this study's basically, it's no offense, sir, but they study 17 towns in Pennsylvania, which is less than 2% of the entire population. And they're not booming metropolises. This is like Titusville, right. Population 5,000. You ever been to Ebensburg?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a sleepy little town, population 3,000. When you're saying, if you guys want to go to this new tax system, maybe if we're going to uncork all the property tax in the state of Michigan, we ought to wait a little bit. You don't think this is going to be the gateway to booming?
It would work best where there's a healthy real estate market, where there's demand for the real estate. And so
not here.
What should discourage is people sitting on raw land. It doesn't produce value because you're paying so much more in taxes on that raw land proportionally than what you would pay if you built a house or an office building or something.
Yeah. Well, based on what Pittsburgh did last century, we're talking about this thing is going to create a boom building cycle, which would replace all the lost tax revenue. Because as it stands, if we went to the model that you're talking about, we would lose 30, 40, 50, 100, 150 million dollars in property tax revenue. How are we supposed to make that back?
How would you lose that? I don't understand.
Because if you're going to, we have a lot of skyscrapers. So if you tax the land it's sitting on at 300% higher, but the 50-story building gets taxed at 30% less, you can see a $20 million hole.
But you could potentially, right? And you would have to figure that out. Now,
preach, brother.
What we would try to do, what we tried to do when we were forced to because of reassessment, is that we tried to make people harmless. So we would try to hold them harmless. But you're absolutely correct, is that people that have property now under your old system where the value is in the development and not in the land, then they would get a windfall tax decrease.
Look at you, the senior fellow, Urban Land Institute, and here we go again. The rich guy who's getting all the tax breaks is going to get another tax break, and we don't know. This is how we pay for schools, sir, public schools.
We all have that struggle, Charlie.
It's too much of a gamble for me just to blow up
Well,
the property taxes.
It could be a big gamble. I mean, it could be a big gamble, and the problem is, in cities like Pittsburgh, you have
But
so
do we
much
want to gamble?
untapped land that is sitting there right now vacant because of the industry and what happened, and so how you trade value on that is that you don't want to penalize it by you want to have people make investments, and so you don't want to penalize them. So that the challenge with taxes are really important in cities like Detroit and Pittsburgh, because you don't want to cause a further impediment to want to make people invest.
So Tom
like in Detroit, I mean, to get people to invest in certain places like old industrial property, we faced this with steel mills. You actually have to provide additional subsidy to them. The market rate does not work. That property is a liability for you.
So tax cuts and sweeteners. So if I might, let me wind this up, Tom. Tom Murphy, generally considered to be the engineer, the architect of the new Pittsburgh, the guy that brought it back from the brink, senior fellow at the Urban Land Institute, is saying, whoa now, hold your horses. It's best to take a look, go slowly here, and maybe somebody should call Tom Murphy before you start putting Tom Murphy's Pittsburgh into your studies.
I'm happy to have a conversation, but taxes are one piece of a company making a decision where they want to locate. And my bet is for your leaders and Charlie, for you in Detroit, is the big issue is to get jobs back to Detroit.
Thank you, Tom Murphy, a former mayor of Pittsburgh and senior fellow at the Urban Land Institute. We'll be talking more as the year goes on, Tom.
That's fine, and I love your office. One of the reasons I want to talk to you more is I love your office.
Thank you, and the way you have your camera angled, it reminds me of Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
I'll talk to you. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Tom Murphy. Look at that, Tom Murphy. There's a guy we should be listening to.
Yeah, you've been through it, right?
Yeah.
It seems so obvious, but instead they just want to use that and use the positives of it and not look at any of the pitfalls that might happen.
Pitfalls,
Hey,
Pittsburgh. I get what you're doing there.
Who doesn't like a stupid pun?
But again, I mean, this is monumental what they're floating out there. And when I get the spin doctors calling me and say, have you looked at how successful this is in Pittsburgh? And nobody seems to realize Pittsburgh hasn't done this in a quarter century.
Yep. And then you can say, not only have I looked into it, I've talked to the architect of it, and he still has questions.
And then you know what the mayor said there also, sort of, it just went by us. But if you're going to monkey with an established property tax system, look what the courts did in what I assume it's Allegheny County. It might be wrong to wherever Pittsburgh is.
It sounds pretty right.
The court said, hey, listen, you need an accurate assessment of your property values. And then when they went to do it, they went through the roof, and it blew this all up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no way. This is flimsy as shit. These 17 municipalities, I added up their total population.
What was it?
302,000.
Huh.
It's not even 50% of Detroit.
Yeah. Well, the thing, too, is you're making this cut, this guaranteed cut for a wish, right? The wish that you're going to have more development. Right?
No, that's the horseshit sell here, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's not a guarantee.
The puppet master is Dan Gilbert. Dan Gilbert owns a block of property that's just gone in the toilet. He's now responsible for the tax rate. He winds up his doll, Mike Duggan. They get a few people to call. How lame brain is the Free Press? The editorial board, without seeing any data, without calling Tom Murphy, and say, hey, this is a great idea. What dopes?
Yeah.
You idiots. Keep your hands off my house and off the kids' education. and do some serious work.
And dig.
Yeah. Or, Karen went on Let It Rip.
Mm-hmm.
And with one of Duggan's surrogates, one of his spin doctors. And did you edit that up?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I took out the most important part. Yep.
You took out the most important part?
I pulled the most important part.
Oh, and that's what we get to see now.
Yeah.
Oh, let's let it roll.
The land value tax plan is something that is very smart. For the first time in decades, we're getting at really the heart of what's the issue.
And Karen, we'll let you respond, and then we'll move forward with some of the other candidates that may step in.
That's no problem.
He's done
well, I mean,
job.
the thing about it is, and again, we actually peeled this apart tonight on the podcast. Let's take this for example. You've got 90,000 parcels of land in the city of Detroit. 60,000 of those parcels are owned by the land bank, so they're owned by the city of Detroit. 30,000 of them are owned by 5 entities in the city. When you're talking structures, that tax implication also benefits people like Dan Gilbert, the Illages, the Maroons, the large structural property owners. What's going to happen to the school taxes? What's going to happen to the dollars that are going into our? I'm saying you've got to look at that, and this isn't the time to do it, but you really need to peel.
Actually, those are non-homesteaded properties. The city is making more from those 5
No, but
entities than all of them.
I think
If residents own it, they
my
make
question
less.
is that, Charlie,
but they're
Home ownership is key.
But they're not. And all I'm saying is that you've got to look past the narrative. If there's one thing that Mike Duggan has done, he has changed the perception of this city. I give them credit for that. But the reality, we did a story on the Pulaski School. There's a drug house across the street. I spoke at a school the other day. I thought I had the wrong address because the school looked as though it should have been closed. So yeah, there's a lot of work to be done, and your perception is different. It was completely different when you were on the other side, and I respect that. But
hold on.
I
want to make it very
different.
clear. When I talk about Detroit, I talk about it as someone who lives in Detroit and experience every day just like you do. To try to minimize
I'm not
what I am saying
I'm not minimizing
about
Alexis.
my experience and what I'm seeing is actually just as
But
valid
I dealt with you
as what
when
anyone
I was
else.
in the mayor's office, and you had a completely different approach. And it's very different when your perception is based on your paycheck.
I think there's a lot of bitterness because it was a very different time, a very different style, and I think we should have a different conversation.
Okay, why don't we just, we have about 90 seconds left. I want to talk to you about this.
Oh my God, Rube, what are you doing? It's letting it rip. We got a cat fight and he wants to move along. Karen, unbelievable.
Yes.
I don't think you were bitter.
No, I'm not bitter, but this is the thing. Mike Duggan just moved here. Alexis Wiley just moved here. I've lived here longer than both of them have been here combined. That's the first thing. The second thing is that everybody is so hell-bent on agreeing with and supporting whatever Mike Duggan says without question. You know, you didn't show the opening of the show and they says, you've been very critical. It's not about being critical. It's about being objective and not just swallowing everything that they push out. You know, I mean, it's really unfortunate that nobody has the balls, for lack of a better word, to question Charlie. I mean, seriously, nobody wants to question anything. You know, you could listen, even the banter in between. Oh yeah, well, we've been out for the demolition. We've seen what the city has done. Mike Duggan said, get off of the expressway and drive through the city. I do it all the time. I see a completely different reality than what is pushed in the narrative. And when this interview was over, Alexis was complimented on her presentation of the talking points. And I let all of them know. I said, you all don't know or won't admit 90% of what's really going on here. And that's unfortunate to the people who look to you all for objective information.
Yeah. You know what's hard is we're social with these people. I've worked with these people. I call these people friends. So it's really hard. But now we're getting into an era of really cataclysmic public policy. It's not thought out. This is a great idea. You just heard from the mayor of Pittsburgh, who's the spine of this report. He says it's not a great idea. When they talk about demolition, and we all know, and there'll be many, the feds just dropped a bunch more subpoenas. And we're getting bullshit. Whether you live here or not, listen, Michigan, it now affects all of us, right? You could say, Detroit, go to hell. This thing is coming out of Detroit, and the math makes no sense. So I know, Karen, a lot of media concerns want you to come and be part of them. And me as your friend, your deep friend, I encourage that. I want you to. You're the smart, elegant, experienced person in this. And all that can do, I could be very selfish, but selfishly, I like that you said we did the crunching on the program. I like the fact that you're one of the elegant people who actually goes out there. Not to the athletic club, you go there too. Not to New Orleans, you go there too. You go to the east side, you go to the west side, you go uptown, you go downtown. We need you. I like that fight. Bess has some respect because I wrote down the majority, Charlie was saying, was these properties, these non-homestead taxed vacant lots are the majority of the taxes. That couldn't be further from the truth. This town needs you.
But this is the thing, though, Charlie, and this is what I want people to understand. I can disagree with you, and it should not be, and I mean with anybody, it should not be viewed as disrespectful or a form of dislike. You can't be in a public position, whether you're in an elected position or you're serving the public in another capacity, and be petty or be sensitive. We as residents, as taxpayers, as people, as occupants in this region, have a right to question. We have a right to disagree. We have a right to have spirited discussion. I mean, if you all could have seen what the conversation that took place off camera, it was absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, and I stayed there and talked for a long time because I said, you all don't know a lot of what's even going on. I told them some things and they said, are you serious? Yes, I am serious. There are a lot of things that we know that deserve questions, that deserve answers, and we are not getting it. And it's to our disservice collectively, Detroiters, people in the surrounding area, and people throughout this state. We deserve better.
Yeah. And if look, I'm not a tax revoltist. Yeah, I love it here. I'm not moving, but I want a better place. And we need people like you to raise the questions. And I'll be your bud. I'll be your friend. And we think hard about this. There's nothing to be gained here. If this was great and the mayor of Pittsburgh goes, we made $1 billion, I'm like, well, let's do it. Sure. But do yourself a favor, look into this study, look who's on the board of directors.
Look who commissioned it.
Connect the dots.
Yep,
and
exactly.
I'm talking to people in this organization that put this study together. And when I'm talking to them and then talking to Karen, because I can't tell you who I talked to, you folks, but this doesn't fit Detroit. It doesn't fit Michigan. This is 17 podunks. It might have worked for them over the last 50 years, but no big city does it. And to be moving right along when Dumas is telling you, hold on a minute, we haven't discussed schools or policing.
Police, yep, you're right.
There's going to be money. Yeah, go.
People have to understand that stabilizing the quality of life in any city, Detroit or any other city, is what is the best attraction and retention strategy ever. So you can gloss over something as much as you want, but when the quality of life is compromised and not invested in, then you're not going to ever have what you're telling people you have. And that's our situation. People are concerned about crime. People are concerned about education. People are concerned about the overall quality of life here. I mean, I had somebody tell me the other day, they said, yeah, all of these, these affordable allocations and the 20%, based on federal dollars on these developments, they have kids, who come in and their parents are paying their rent. It's all a shell game. It is all a shell game.
Well, I tell you what, you know, like the 80-20, low income, we got a tool shed for you to move in. You see that at the book tower? Oh my God. Now, we get along with working people, and the working people over there tell me the grand opening's coming in August, and I gave them one of these. August, huh? and they got to laugh. You could see that half the building doesn't even have walls put in yet.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you ain't fooling us, and we're not stopping. No way, dude. No way. This is voodoo. And if you want to throw pennies to the people and give them $200 a year off their property taxes, which you owe them, then just do it. That's only $30 million. You gave Gilbert a $60 million break on a skyscraper he's not going to finish. It's there. It's just what's it there for?
Everybody's not stupid. And everybody is not so anxious to believe that things are different that we're willing to accept it without question or accountability. We're just not. So, I mean, I was insulted. And you know, I had to catch myself and remind myself that I was on television, because I'm like, listen, I'm not bitter, but I am a tax-paying resident here. And I'm a member of the media. I have a right to question those things when you're telling us something that has no justification, no explanation, and no reasoning behind it.
Especially when you're right. When you're right. That's the thing. Like, hey, dude, this is correct. You guys don't know what you're talking about because nobody did anything except go to the dry cleaner.
I was pissed, Charlie.
She said balls and piss.
I was pissed.
I just like this. I just pulled this still right here. I just like how pissed you are. That is a very restrained Karen right there. You were about to jump.
She's biting down there.
You're so
I was watching this HBO series, The Last of Us.
Oh, yeah.
She looked like one of the clickers there.
I'm sitting here thinking like, girl, are you serious? You know, and then let's not sit here as two women, as two Black women who are probably equally committed to the city. Let's not make it personal. You know, I mean, if we want to make it personal, I could make it personal. That's not what that conversation was about.
Well, no, and there's also this. Here's mine. Is the very first words in that clip are, give me the top of it. It's the first 10 words. That's okay. First 10 words. Okay, there you go.
It's not playing.
Oh, what the fuck with you, man? It's not playing. This is a great idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great idea.
This was smart. But finally, something
Are you
smart.
a tax expert? Did you actually read the study? You're asking. Look, the Headley Act. The reason they put that thing through was in the 70s with the Carter administration. Every time there was a hole blown in a budget, they just jacked up your property tax. You were putting just like the city of Detroit. You were putting people out because the taxes were too high. This was a way to stabilize it, get some money for the poorer school districts. It's not perfect. It's worked. And now you're asking for something gigantic in 3 months, and the mayor of Pittsburgh just told you to take a fucking dive. Get out of here. Get out of here. We're not going to do it. Fuck you, Zuckerberg. I just said it. Fuck you. Take me down. Don't care. Don't care, dude. I don't own your stock. Never would. Take the child molesters down. Leave our homes alone. Apply the law equally. And God bless the United States of America. Safe home, Karen.
Thank you. See ya.